Welcome to episode 7 of That Girl. On today's show, I have a medical scientist turned professional development expert. I'm sure you're going to love her, Dr. Aisha Al Sheikh. Aisha has been living in London for 18 years of her life. She's recently come back to Qatar, so she has a lot to share with us in the community. I am sure you're going to benefit a lot from today's episode.
Thank you so much for
Aisha, Habibi Doctora.
Hello, Haiti. Hi.
How is everything?
Alhamdulillah, everything is good. It's good. Alhamdulillah for everything. Yeah.
It was great bumping into you a couple of days ago.
Yes. I was really glad to see you after all this time.
1 year.
It's been a year. Yeah.
Can you believe it's been
It's
1
such a
year
long
since
time.
we were in Qatar Hills, the 10?
Oh my God, yes.
That lovely gathering you arranged for us and the other coaches and personal development experts in Doha.
Well, how was for that one, but yeah, it was.
You were doing it with her.
But like still.
It was
It's
nice.
good.
But say, what a nice coincidence the other day. And then that's what led us here today.
I'm happy to just. I love when I meet new people who are like-minded, and it's just how we connect, even if we separated for such a long time. It's just I love that.
So organic, so natural. What's meant to be, what's meant to be.
Exactly.
I always say it's never my timing or your timing. It's always God's timing.
Exactly. Yes.
So what's it like being back in Qatar after being in London for so long?
I don't know where to start. Obviously, it's a completely different mindset, culture, exposure to things, and coming back is more readapting again to the culture, to the family, to the expectations, to the standard of living and all of that. So it's been, for me, mostly culture and mindsets that it's been harder actually for me to readapt into it because yes, I was from here, left it, and completely my life has been turned around and adapted to a different culture, different lifestyle. But coming back to the same mindset again, to the same environment and energy, it took me a while to just readapt myself, adjust to a new reality. Actually.
Your accent is so cute, Aisha.
Thank
There's
you.
like British London vibes in there. First of all, okay, let's go back a little bit.
Yeah.
What took you out of Qatar? Was it the medical and your background in studying?
Actually, I finished high school very early. I was like 16 years old when I finished. I was very excelled academically. Funnily, I was supposed to go to Qatar University and I applied there, but the person who was handling my application form, she was pregnant.
Okay.
And suddenly, after 2 weeks, I was like, oh, in a week time, the studies will start, and I haven't heard from them yet.
Oh, wow.
And then when I contacted them, they said, oh, you're not registered with us.
She was on her delivery.
She went to deliver. So my mom, was really heartbroken that I would waste a whole year not being in a university. It's like, okay, listen, because she studied in the UK. So she's like, I'm going to send you to the UK to learn English. I was like, okay, I didn't know very good English at that time. So I was like, what? UK? Yes.
That was 18 years ago.
That was, roughly. More than 18 years ago.
So you went to England not knowing any English?
Not knowing, like a basic, the Arab lifestyle of saying broken English and stuff. So that was how it was. But then I went to boarding school and everything's history now. So
All girls boarding school?
At the beginning, yes, all girls boarding school. And then after that, obviously the language, got into university, actually did 2 undergrads.
Yeah.
And,
Mashallah.
one is completely opposite. One computer graphics and art design and media. And the other
But it was useful in your work today.
It is useful. It's shaped who I am. All the life experiences, the education, everything. It shifted me to a whole different.
Yeah. So how do you go and then you did a master's degree as well?
I did, yes. So academically, my background, like the official, let's say, the scientific way, I did biomedical science as a bachelor. And then I did a master's in regenerative medicine. And then after that, went to do my PhD and research in pharmacy and pharmacology with specialists in neurodegenerative diseases and cardiovascular, like the heart and the mind and the brain. And then after that, alhamdulillah, I got my scientific publications, did a lot, but then along the way, God has put other things in your life, shifted your whole your whole perspective.
Absolutely, it's always like that. So did you actually practice medicine? Were you a doctor, like in a clinic?
No, I'm mostly researcher. So I discover disease. Like like I was working on Alzheimer's mainly, Alzheimer's disease. So it's discovering the causation of the disease. So we are the people who do the discovery, and doctors in the clinical setting will probably give the medicine, and some of them will also be participating in research. So mainly mine is more about discovery and scientific discoveries, basically.
Yeah.
And alhamdulillah, I managed to publish discoveries and stuff like that in my field. So.
Beautiful, amazing, very impressive, Aisha. So then back in Qatar, and now you are a personal development expert. You help people with strategy and strategizing. What was the shift?
Okay, this is going to be a bit of a longer story, but I'll start with childhood because that's where everything stemmed from. I wasn't supposed to say this story because I was a bit hesitant, but I realized I shouldn't be because God put me through it, and it's for a reason. And I always say your difficulties or your life problems and the way you got out of it is like the manuscript for someone else, survival guide for someone else's.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe my life is a survival guide for someone else, who lost hope, So I'll tell you, I didn't have a very good childhood. I had a very difficult childhood. Fathers left when I was 3 years old.
Wow.
We abandoned my mother, ended up homeless for some time.
You're in Doha?
Yeah. And then obviously couldn't get accepted to the family because my grandfather was very strict. Like he didn't like his daughters to be divorced. It's a very common, tribal mindset. And he said, "You're welcome, but his children are not. So us." So that was a bit hard for my mom, and my mom has been my hero in a way.
And you were just 3 years old.
I was 3 years old. My sister was like 1.5 at that time.
So obviously you didn't have so much of a sense of what was going on.
No, but I remember that we ended up in a relative's home, and that was where the real danger began for my life. I ended up being, without obviously knowing, being abused from the age of 3 till the age of 9, all kind. Whatever, unfortunately. And then after that, I started developing problems emotionally. I've been bullied a lot for my looks. No, in family. Name calling every day on the looks, the way you look. So I literally developed like no self-esteem, no confidence.
And was that because family members didn't approve of your father, or was that they were personality?
No, it's, I don't know. I don't know exactly why, but I remember it's just this like dark side when I was a kid. I never understood why this happened to me. I was innocent. I was a little child, and then I started developing after that binge eating disorder. I had social anxiety. I hated being with people, but then when I'm with people, I always became a people pleaser. It's one of the ways to gain love, unfortunately, because usually with abandoned, or my mom's always been busy because she was alone. She had to really work hard to take care of us. So that's
was she working outside of the home when you were? Yeah, because
she had to leave us because she thought it was safe because it's family. Obviously, as a child, the victim mindset. You cannot. We were always scared. We're always beaten up. My memories of that has always been about that. Always about pleasing, and always about making everyone else happy, just to feel that I've been. I realized this later on. What I was looking for is to feel loved and accepted.
Did your mom realize any of this?
Oh no, she didn't. No, she would bless her. No, she didn't because. It's different. When you are being abused, you think what you're doing it's
your fault.
It's your fault, and the control the abuser have over you is humongous. Till my adulthood, I realized this later on when I left, and then we ended up in school as well, bad choices, and then alhamdulillah, the best thing that ever happened to me was to get out of that environment I was living in. I'm not saying my whole family is bad, relax, I'm not saying that, but certain experiences I had were really horrible. Okay, and nobody knew about it basically. And my grandma was the only person who took care of us, the main love I had at that point, so I loved her with all my heart. And then I managed to leave for the UK. By the age of 16, I became rebellious at that time. When you're subjected to so much, at some point you just
lash out and you want to,
and you don't know what you're doing as a teenager. So it's just
all these hormones as well.
Your whole brain changes actually when you're a teenager. So that's why you get the whole change in character. And so I ended up leaving, and actually I realized when I thought, actually I was made to believe that there's a secret society and that's okay now. Everything was wrong that I knew in a way. And it took me through a whole transformation, even religiously speaking. Because when you grow up in aib and haram, but then people do a lot of wrong things, and you think as a child, just like, why is this happening? But then
a lot of bitterness and resentment builds up, and
not only that, but to myself. I realized how much I hated myself. I didn't have character. My muffy. There's no personality. I was just trying to fit into. Unfortunately, this is sad, but I realized even when I was there, I was just trying to fit in, just to not feel rejected. And I realized this pattern later on. I ended up being clinically depressed for 10 years.
From the age of?
From my 20s onwards. And I started growing in size because I still didn't have, I was still struggling with the disorder, the eating disorder. So for me, I didn't click at that time that it was related. It's all related. I was like, it's part of life. This is how you but then at some point I realized coming closer to death. That was the turning point for me. I went so obese to the point I realized my ankle started, so I was young. My ankle started, so I realized I'm developing blood pressure problem. That means my kidneys, my liver is going to get, I study. So I know what's happening in my body. And then my heart started having angina. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die soon.
Wow.
And I haven't even lived my life yet. I've never had a boyfriend. It was in my head, I was like, I want to get married or something at the time. But I was like, when I look back, it's just I felt like a big shell, like a zombie, walking through life, doing what everyone's telling you to do, just to...
Sense of numbness maybe as well.
Yeah. It's just going through the motion. And the best thing is, the good side of things is I managed to compartmentalize. I was able to shut down my emotions and just try to focus logically in science and focus on just my studies, because I had high expectations in that regard as well, because I didn't want to let my mom down. It was also her dream at some point. My daughter is a doctor. She wanted to be proud, especially being a single mother, having that pressure from family. How is she going to raise daughters on her own? And that I took on that. I felt like, I need to make her proud.
So what was the final turning point or the launch pad into this?
It's the day when I realized, I'm going to die. And then I ended up, the best thing that happened to me at university, that was master time, when I started just doing my masters. And I ended up going to a gym, but I didn't realize the gym hosts Great Britain athletes train there. So coming with a really obese person going into gym, I was like, exactly. So that was so detrimental in my. It's but then I was like, well, they're not paying my membership, so I don't care. I shouldn't care. I'm gonna die if I don't go there, And I ended up suddenly just going there, and one of these gorgeous trainers came to me and he's like, so I was on I was so big. I started wearing a skirt to the gym because I was so embarrassed of my weight and my looks. And at that time I was like, everyone would look at me, everyone and I was wearing baggy stuff obviously, but still, I still wanted to go forward. I was like, I need to change my life. I really need to change my life. And then when he came, I was like, so what's your goal? I was like, I looked at him, is he talking to me? I ignored him. I ignored him. But then he's like, hi. I was like, hi. And then he's like, I still remember he changed he made that shift in my mind. It's isn't it obvious? But then at that moment, I was like, yes, yeah. So he's like, you want weight loss and stuff? I was like, yes, of course. This is like the aim. And then he took me aside. He said to me, okay, mashallah, what do you study and stuff like that? At the time, I'm doing my master's at that time. He's like, okay, you're a smart girl. So think about it this way. In order to do really well in your studies, you must exercise. Yeah. Before everything else, you must exercise.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not the other way around. Oh, I finished every. Oh, then I have to go to the gym. Oh, this is like an added pressure. Yeah. It's like, no. The first thing you do is exercise, then do everything else.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I started doing that, and that made my mind shift.
Tony Robbins refers to it as the peak state. You've got to get yourself into this peak state. Good circulation, good energy, good blood flow. In order before to do anything, to concentrate.
Exactly. So Tony Robbins is also one of my mentors. I went to him personally and trained with him, and I'll tell you later on how it's accelerated. But and from then my life has changed. I lost over 45 kilos. No, 54 kilos. 54 kilos through diet and exercise. I joined the rugby team at university, kickboxing, Olympic weightlifting, and then also at some point I became a personal trainer. I was like, you know what? Why don't I become a personal trainer to understand? Because I was sick of people telling me what to do, and I'm like very like I don't like people to tell me.
Yeah.
You know, the advice major. You know, I became that, and then from there I've learned it, but then I realized I still wasn't. There's something missing. I keep binging. I keep ruining things on myself. Self-sabotaging big time. And then I was like, maybe it's the nutrition part. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's something wrong with my nutrition. So I realized, so I went to study sports nutrition while I was like learning from the different trainers.
That's impressive, Aisha.
Every problem I had, I went to study to understand it more, you know? So this is, and plus the research, all the different kind of diets that I've been to, the yo-yo dieting, all of that. So because it's a big problem, it's been my major problem in my life. And then even when that, I still kept self-sabotaging. I was like, what's wrong with me? There's something wrong, you know? And then I ended up
have all the knowledge, I understand.
So why do I keep doing this to myself? So I realized I went to counseling because to deal with a lot of the other pressure I had and the repeat of the trauma. It didn't really work with me. When counseling, when therapy, the conventional therapy in the UK they have, it was alright, but it wasn't like the one that actually I had complex trauma. Mm-hmm. So it's much more complicated. I needed something. I was like, okay, how am I? The good thing, you know what? I always had this belief. Mm-hmm. Okay, no matter what the problem is, there's always a solution. You just don't know it yet. So keep searching. Don't give up. Mm-hmm. Don't give up. Always had that mind. Mm-hmm. It's like you just don't know it. You need to open your eyes more and just keep looking in other areas, not the one you just know. Because sometimes you just collapse. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why is this happening to me? I had these questions. I was asking myself the wrong questions I learned from Tony Robbins. But then I ended up going on a retreat, booking myself to a retreat I've never been exposed to. I don't know if you know Matthew Hussey.
Yeah, of course I know Matthew Hussey.
So I went to meet him. Yeah. He's known as the dating expert, but he has his retreat that actually got appealed to me. Yeah. I know him, I know the family. So I went to meet them all. I've been volunteering on their events and everything. I was like, maybe I need to go there.
Yeah.
Maybe it was time for me to just go and see what they actually do. And that was the first exposure for me to personal development, to NLP, to all that. I never knew what it was, but that
How old were you then, Aisha?
Gosh, I don't want to say age.
Were you in your 20s? When?
No, beginning of my 30s.
Oh, okay.
Just in the beginning. It's been like, but the personal development field itself, like self-searching and learning, I've been doing it before that because of my own problems I had before. But the actual getting into the actual field, it's been.
So some of the things that you've been through, Aisha, would you say that you've made peace and you're in a state of forgiveness about all of that trauma that your family members put you through?
That was the first step. When I went to the retreat, it was one of the methods was forgiveness of the person who hurt you the most. It was the hardest thing I ever had to do.
Let me ask you, what does it truly mean to forgive someone? Because we have lots of people who are listening and watching now, and everyone's like, no, there's no way I could forgive that person. There's no way I'm going to sit with them. And I always say that just because you've forgiven someone, it doesn't mean you need to sit at the table and have a coffee with them. What does it mean to you? And for anyone that's listening or watching now, what would you advise them if they're struggling to forgive someone in their life right now?
I made a post on my Instagram saying, holding a grudge is like drinking poison and wishing your enemy to die.
Yeah. Slowly.
Because the only person you're harming is yourself. Yeah. All I did this whole years, my whole life, was actually just hurting myself for not being able to deal with the emotional letting go.
Yeah.
And that was holding me a prisoner of my past.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I learned about forgiveness, it's not about forgiving the person, it's about letting go of all this anger or this emotion. It's not about that. I believe in karma. I believe in God's punishment. I believe what goes around comes around. It's even in our book, you will get punished for whatever you've done for your deeds. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to be revengeful because my revenge might be little. I want God's revenge.
Yeah.
God's revenge will take, will
Aisha, absolutely. I also think there's a big part, like you said, the letting go, but it's also letting go of the idea that things could have been any different. That's what pains us, right? I could have had this wonderful life when we were happy families and maybe my dad was around, or maybe I lived with those members, but they were so kind to me and they loved me.
You know how many times I played this scenario in my head? What if I had the perfect family, the perfect dad, the perfect mom, the perfect, how would it look like? How would my life would be?
So it's giving up that idea that it could have been any different because this is the way that it was supposed to be for Aisha.
And you don't have to be with the person. It's not about that person living a happy life or anything like that. No, that person will never be happy. No way.
I always say their biggest punishment is them being them and living with themselves.
Yeah.
That's the biggest punishment.
That's one way, but there are things that are really horrible in the world, like really unforgivable, they need to be punished for. But the idea, I've learned pain is inevitable.
Yeah.
Okay? Suffering is a choice.
Absolutely. A daily choice that you make.
Yes, because the more you hold on to it, the more you're actually torturing yourself. And I learned it, unfortunately, a bit late in life after going through all of that.
It's never too late.
It's never too late. But like in my I was like, I wish I knew this earlier. I wish I learned this earlier. And then from there, I exploded into the personal development field. I realized what he was doing is transformational and it's changing people's lives. It changed my life. That was the beginning. And I ended up doing, and I went to a coaching, one of the coaching events they had to introduce with coaching and stuff. It's like, okay, what is this? Then I discovered about Tony Robbins and then from there went to him directly. I was like, okay, what does he do? And then my healing journey started from within.
Have you heard of that poet Rupi Kaur? The Canadian Indian. She has this beautiful line in her poetry, Aisha, and it says, look at you out there turning all this pain into gold. And I think that what I'm hearing from you is what you did. You had this suffering, you had these really terrible, difficult circumstances, but you take all of that pain and you turn it into gold. مثلا something that you can do to support other people, and that's what you're doing
now. But looking back, I'll tell you something. I always used to say, God, why are you doing this to me? I always had this question. I've been crying. I've been really crying, and I was like, God, why is this happening to me? I haven't done anything wrong. Why does this keep happening to me? And then I realized later on, actually, God has been preparing me for something bigger in life.
Yeah.
I realized none of the prophets, none of the greatest people
had
an easy life.
And that's what that's a very important message that I would like our viewers and listeners to get. Like that question, many people ask themselves, why me? What did I do? What did I do to deserve this? Is a common one. Yeah. And it's just like, look at all the people that God loves the most. He didn't give them easy lives. And that made the shift. So that made the shift in terms of processing difficulties in anything I face in the future now. Because now my perception of approaching challenges and things that are difficult, even death, has changed. Yeah.
In a way that now I used to think about a state of suffering. Now I'm like, okay, God, what is the message you're trying to send me, or the lesson you want me to learn from this situation?
Mm-hmm.
No matter how heartbreaked I was, how broken I was, no matter how the situation has been really difficult, I've been always telling myself, okay, you're preparing me, you're building my character. You're actually just building to become a stronger person, to face a bigger and carry a bigger message to the world.
Yeah.
And this is
like,
how it took
now you're in a place where you support other people and you want to encourage and motivate other people. But if you hadn't been through any of those things, there's so many people that haven't faced hardship. How can you advise? How can you be an inspiration? How can you be a motivation if you haven't been through any of those challenges yourself?
I believe your purpose is linked to the problem. Your life purpose is linked to the difficulties and pain you've been through in your life. And I believe everyone has got a specific message to give to the world.
Yeah.
And God didn't put you here randomly.
Yeah.
Okay. No matter what your job is, no matter what country, what position, what do you call this, nationality you are, you look at your past and look at the difficulties there is a theme.
Yeah.
There is a theme that is God is putting you and pushing you towards.
Yeah.
And that theme gives you an experience in life at a particular thing. Yeah. And this experience you can turn into gold by helping other people.
Turn it into power.
Yeah, because when you get that experience now, when I do my job, I not only think about it from a logical, scientific, no, I actually can feel what they go through.
Yeah.
And I can...
You're a bit of an empath too.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You see, that's a curse as well.
Yeah.
So being sensitive and empath is a blessing and a curse at the same time, because you can love and have so much joy, but at the same time, if you get through pain, you get so much pain.
You get sucked into
it. You get sucked in, yeah.
By the way, this is all gold that you're sharing with us. This is so useful. Our camera team here today, they're all like in their teens, their late teens. I hope you're taking notes because this is going to be useful stuff for you in your life later on. Aisha, so how do you hope to support your clients now that you're back in Doha and you're turning this into your consulting, your strategy work? How are you hoping to support your clients?
To be honest, the blessing I had is I managed to travel around the world and learn from the best in the world, like Marissa Peer, like Tony Robbins, Richard Bandler, Brendan Burchard, and many other well-known in the UK, outside the UK people, Matthew Hussey. So now I felt like, okay, I was there for myself.
Mm-hmm.
You become your first patient, first of all. Yeah. You're, and then I was like, along the way with the experiences and knowledge, you gather wealth of knowledge. Mm-hmm. And I realized, if I died with this, what will happen?
Yeah.
I haven't done anything for my life, literally. And that was the shift for me from being a scientist towards the development field.
Aisha, I actually believe it's your responsibility.
Yeah.
Once you have all this knowledge, I think it's a responsibility that you have to do to share it with the people.
Exactly. And that has been my life. I tell you what, I first of all started with health, physical health. I realized then went to nutrition. And I was like, what is that? I want to learn about it. Then went to mind. And I realized how interlinked.
Yeah.
That was from real life, not just studying and learning about it. Then I was like, okay. I realized as a scientist, even as doctors, as in the medical field as a general, okay, what we do is actually, if you have a tap that's running and there's water on the floor, what we do is we're trying to wipe the water from the floor, not realizing we need to turn off the tap first.
Go to the source. Fix it at the root.
Yes. And what we're doing is mostly trying to
numb the symptoms.
Trying to deal with the symptoms, but the main cause, I realized, most diseases are rooted in thoughts and thinking.
Yeah.
So it's your mind.
Yeah.
It's your mind that is causing you to binge. It's your mind causing you to behave a certain way.
That's a mind over matter.
It's the way you process. It's the meaning you give to the experiences you have in life. And whether it's a good thing or a bad.
I always like to think of this example as they say mind over matter. For example, you could be in a luxurious setting, a beautiful place, gourmet food in front of you, luxury and amazing. But your mind is tormented. Your mind is in pain. you're not going to enjoy any of that. And the opposite is true. You could be in very bad environment, rough a place where you're living, not have a lot of access to different things. But if you have good thoughts and you're at peace with yourself in your mind, you are living in a palace, not
exactly. Your mind makes your life heaven or hell.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Absolutely.
So at the moment, my job, I feel like my mission, my goal in life is to bring this knowledge to help our people, to help the world. And I realized living and working in the UK at that time, I did set up my company there but it was during COVID, everything went downhill.
Yeah.
And I ended up coming back. I didn't want to come back at that time, but then my mom was like, come back home. And I was like, it's time. It's time.
It's time.
It's time. And you know what? SubhanAllah, it was a blessing in disguise, because the amount of pain and suffering here that I had to deal with, I was like, wow. Like the people coming to me and sharing all that. Because I'm also a rapid transformational therapist, so I deal with both the conscious and the subconscious mind. And the problems they have, they cannot usually, we have a big problem.
I always like to say, Aisha, don't underestimate the fact of how much we all affect each other. You know, we live in a very small place, okay, in Doha. And you know, if you're walking around feeling depressed and then you come into contact with me, we're all rubbing off on each other.
That is very true.
So that's why I feel it's my responsibility to work with my clients in the way that I do, because when you're living your best life, when I'm living my best life, when I'm doing the best that I can,
exactly,
we're all collectively going to do better.
Oh my God, this is exactly the mission I'm on. Because if you imagine, when I did my studies, based on the clientele, based on like the questionnaires I had for my business here in Doha, 60%, more than 60% of people are living in stress, fear, guilt, childhood problems, shame. Yeah, childhood problems. 60% or more of our people, friends, family. So imagine when they wake up, feeling how they feel, going to work they hate, coming back shouting, beating probably.
Absolutely. We're sitting in a beautiful cloud in Co now, right? So imagine a customer comes in here right now. They've got their problems that they're dealing with. They're mean and nasty to Nova when she's serving them the gelato. How does she feel? Oh God, they were like nasty to me. She might be upset. Then she goes and deals with her colleagues in the back of the kitchen. We don't understand sometimes the impact of our behavior on other people, colleagues, people in coffee shops and restaurants, at the petrol station.
So the thing is, this is the thing. If you're unable to understand where your emotions and thoughts are stemming from, able to process them in an effective way where you're able to communicate effectively without harming other people, I think your life will be much better, and your life quality will be much better. You'll enjoy life more. You'll be able to handle anything that comes your way better, rather than just be on anger management, like, you know, anger fits all the time, impatience, which we have a lot here, you know, like honking, all the problems we have on the streets, even within families.
Road rage.
And the language, the cursing, it's harmful. It's harmful at so much. They don't realize it because they think it's normal. It's part of it's normal. We got beaten up, you got beaten up, we got cursed on. And that's part of life, but that's not correct. يعني الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم when he came يتم مكارم الأخلاق. يعني the first thing you need to work on is your character, your manners and your morals before even anything else. You know? So if you're not doing that, what are you actually doing? Just faking everything through and living life like, and that's why we have a lot of problems. And I'm sorry to address it.
Please don't apologize.
Because people decide, no, we're perfect. We're like this. But I was like, no, we have lots of problems, even at a managerial, organizational level. And this needs to be dealt with.
So what would be the first step? Is it mothers need to get access to this information so they teach their children? Where do we make a start collectively?
First of all is awareness, always. What I do when I do the workshop is all about raising awareness of how to understand yourself, your thoughts and your emotions. Okay? Once you are able to regulate them, it's like, okay, I want to learn more. So once you realize, you make the unconscious conscious. You know, with the things you don't know become more. If you don't know what you don't know, you don't know. You know? Simple as that. Okay, but if you're
when you know better, you do better.
Exactly, because we are all operating from a level of. I always say, to make better choices in life, your decisions should come from a place of abundant knowledge and not from a place of scarcity
and lack.
Yeah. Because when you're in a scarcity or desperate situation, you're like bad choices. Someone is smoking or drinking alcohol. Okay, do you think he's going to be really amazing at his job?
Yeah.
Or the decision-making part? No.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to fix one thing in order to, you need to fix what's inside you that made you do that in the first place before you can move on to help.
I mean, you know what, like, so it goes back to self-awareness as well, like you said, but that's not always an easy thing, right?
No.
Like, you've been operating at this way for like 20, 30 years. It's really difficult. So unless you're going to come across a podcast or a chat like this or something, it's difficult to even realize that there's a problem. But then I think also what's nice is sometimes to put someone in your life in that position that you feel very comfortable with, that you're close to, and you can say, look, can you just give me some feedback? Can you be a mirror to me?
Collectively, yes. I think all of us as educators, mentors, coaches, experts, whatever it is, we need to work together. I believe, like, in order to make real change, we can't be having crab mentality.
Yeah.
We need to be working together to make the country better, our society better. Yeah. You can't be jealous because of someone else. You can't. This is what bothered me most here.
For all of us, Aisha.
Yes, success is abundant
you
for
have
everyone.
Your speciality. I have mine. There's enough.
Even if we are in a similar field, we are different human beings. Some people might be appealed to you. Some people not be appealed to you. Like, you don't like some people. Okay, some people don't like you. Simple as that. It's nothing like personal.
I like to say, I mean, you're not going to always be everybody's cup of tea.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it is actually. So why are you putting yourself in a competitive state?
You know, it's for the person itself seeking the expert help. It's very important. Aham shay, that they're comfortable. You know, many people come to me at the beginning of the coaching journey and they say to me, Shifa, I had a coach before, but it didn't work out and I didn't feel comfortable. And that's why we have these introduction sessions at the beginning for us to see if there's a click, for us to see if there's a bond, for me to see if I'm going to enjoy working with you and vice versa. You know, it's all about comfort. You need to be able to relate to the person that you're working with, on both parties, the client and the coach.
It's like an essential thing. I always have a consultation session before anything.
Absolutely.
Because first of all, I need to assess if this person is ready.
Yeah.
Because I don't work with people who are not ready. I'm very picky with my clients. I know that if that person is ready, because my success is their success.
Absolutely.
Okay, if someone is just going to play around, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I
always ask a potential client, how bad do you want this out of 10? And if it's anything less than like an 8, I'm not going to work with them, because I'm like, you're coming, you're willing to put your time and your money. But
time is even more valuable than money.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say, money, if you give me 500 riyals, Asha, I can give it back to you next week. Yeah. But this hour that we're sitting down together, I can never give that back to you. So it's always, I try to give people value, in every single session and every single workshop.
It's a must. Otherwise, what's the point?
Absolutely. Asha, we could sit here and talk all day.
I think we're going to talk.
We're definitely going to have to do a part 2.
Inshallah.
But Asha, where can people find you? Someone that wants to reach out to you to continue this conversation, to have you being their mentor or their expert or strategist, where can they find you?
Mostly I'm known on Instagram. Like, people can look me up on Instagram.
Is there a website too?
I'm actually, because I'm still back to Doha, I'm building now myself. So I am actually working on getting my website up and running, getting my appointments up and running, all the company side of things. Inshallah, and soon. And like, this is the growth phase at the moment. I'm more like, okay, preparation now.
Starting from scratch as well. You step up. And
I have to restart again here in Doha from scratch. But you know what? I'm quicker now because I learned my lessons.
Yeah.
So it's always a good thing. And from there, but mostly I have with Dr. Aisha at gmail.com at the moment.
Okay.
It's an email.
Okay, take a note, guys.
I have a business number as well. I don't know if it's okay to give it live or...
Well, they can ask you.
And they can ask me. I think it's better to reach out on Instagram because sometimes you get all the weird ones.
You can filter.
Asha,
honestly, I really thank you from the bottom of my heart for really to put yourself in a vulnerable space like this, you said that you weren't planning to talk about this, but then you
Yeah.
thought it was important. So I think maybe you had a change of heart on the way, because last night we said we might not go there.
I didn't want to go there, but I realized no, it's part of who I am now.
I think
it's the good and the bad.
So many people are going to benefit from this conversation.
Inshallah.
So many people are going to feel not alone, because they know that like it's happened to people. And look at you, you're here and you're doing these wonderful things.
And you can do amazing things in the world, regardless. It's not about your past, it's about what you do now.
Yeah. And I always say these low points in life, they're like rocket pads, launch pads, launching us into that beautiful future. So Aisha, thank you really from the bottom of my heart. It's really been lovely, and I look forward to part 2 very soon, inshallah.
Thank you so much.
I was truly touched by Aisha's vulnerability in today's episode, her honesty and her transparency. I don't think that was very easy to talk about those things, and I think she's talking about them publicly for the first time today. So that really meant a lot to me. If any of you are going through something right now, please, I want you to know that you're not alone. You can reach out to people like me, to Aisha. We're here for you, and that's what this podcast is all about. So thank you for watching, and just know that you're not alone.